Hi everyone, welcome to the next video in this little mini series. This will be the last one of this little picture from Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford, and we're going to be concentrating on this higher part here, the house and the lamp and the other bits and pieces, and then we're going to do a bit of a quick background, so hopefully it will be a bit of fun. So let's come in and just frame this little bit. Here we go. Now I've decided that I'm going to do these plants a bit of a different colour to what we did in the bottom, just to separate the two halves. And so I'm going to start, let me have a look, here we go, with this little bush bit here, which I think looks rather cute. And I'm going to use number 56, which is actually my favourite colour in this set of pencils. And I'm going to try and do a sort of rounded movement, because if I miss a bit, it doesn't matter, and if it's uneven, excuse me, that's all the better. Sorry, I've got a tickly throat all of a sudden. I just ate a piece of chocolate and obviously it caught in my throat. It's not even like it's sweet. It was 100% chocolate. There's no sugar in it, but sorry. There we go. So we've just done a sort of rough layer, and then I'm going to grab the 57, which is slightly darker. And I'm just going to do some little patches of this within our bush, so it might end up looking a bit scribbly, but I hope not. I just want it to look like we've got different bits of colour in there. Now you can do this for any bush that you might be colouring, and you can add in reds or browns or things like that to make it look a bit more autumnal. This is 579. But I'm keeping it just green today. I'm not going for the autumnal colours. I don't think autumnal is going to match our pink and all our flowers. Anyway, right, I'm going to stick with this 579, give it a sharpen, and it's going to be the base for the rest of our flowers. I realise I'm talking really fast. Quietly, calmly. Now, so I'm going to use this like very similarly to how I did my other flowers, so just to fade off like that. So do layer it up at the bottom and then fade it up the top. I think it's the buzz from the chocolate. Had a coffee as well, it was a decaf. That I was chatting to my son about. He's writing off to a few different companies to try and get his work placement. We were trying to find them because we found some in our town, and we were looking at how far it was to walk. One of them was about 30 minutes walk, which was quite good, but I did say to him he might need to wear different shoes, because he might need to wear this one is like on an industrial estate, and it's up a private lane, and it's all potholy, and it looks like it has the potential to be very muddy, so that could be a problem. But it was very hard to tell whether some of these companies were just one person or whether they were a little bit bigger. This is 57. We're going to finish them off with this, just go over everything with this. So it was hard to tell, but even if it is only one person, there is obviously, it means that he might only be on a minimum wage if he gets paid at all, which, you know, isn't ideal. But on the other hand, he has a walking commute, which is rather nice. And if you're just working with one person, I think as long as you get on with them, it could be rather relaxed, and, you know, you get to do a bit of everything rather than being popped in one department. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, he's going to approach a lot of different places and just see what sort of response he gets, really. You know, I actually get people writing to me to ask for work experience and placements, because I am still on some search engines as a publisher, because I used to publish electronic books, ebooks, before ebooks, missed that one, were really a thing. I mean, they were a thing because they were on Amazon, but people didn't really buy them very much. Now, I think I'm going to do the steps next. I'm going to make them grey, But I'm going to do them a sort of warm grey. We've got this is 85. It's quite, you can see it's like a French grey really. Now, just trying to work out what's going on here. So this is the step that, the sort of platform in front of the front door. And I'm thinking, is this the downward bit in front of it that might be a bit darker? And then this is the next sort of top of step, and then this is the next platform. And I've ended up making it look a bit stripy, but my intention is to try and make it look like it's, I'm going to make it a bit darker at each end of these ones so it doesn't look so stripy. It's a bit tricky that, isn't it? I can't quite make it look right. I think I'll just leave it. I don't think I'm going to be able to, I don't really know. Oh, right, we're going to do the bricks around the door and use the same colour. And I'm going to go around the edge of them like this and then fade a bit towards the centre of each one. Like that. You could use a couple of different shades of grey if you want to. Now I'm thinking about the colour of the house while I'm doing this, and I'm thinking I quite like to maybe tie it in with the flowers, and so I'm wondering, I haven't decided for sure yet whether to do a pink house with a purple roof and a blue door. I'm quite keen on that idea. I'm going to try it. If you don't like the idea, you don't have to try it, but I'm quite keen. So let's actually, yes, I'm just thinking pink house or blue door, blue house, pink door, definitely a purple roof. Let's get our purples, do our purple roof. So I'm going to use number 6 just for a small area of the roof. So I'm going to use it for these little bits in between the bricks. I think these should be darker. So I'm going to use it for that. I can't really be bricks. You wouldn't have bricks on a roof. They must be round tiles. They look cute anyway. It doesn't have to be practical. We're floating on a little island in a starry sky. It's not like we're thinking practically here, is it? There we go. Gosh, I just checked then to make sure I was recording. Imagine if I wasn't. My son was quite flattered by one of his teachers. He had to make a little voiceover presentation as part of his homework, and his teacher said to him that he would be able to get a job reading ebooks, reading audiobooks, sorry, I'll get it right in minute 62. I'm going to make these like I did around the door if I can. The door didn't come out that well, but let's give it a sharpen. So my aim, if it comes out or not, we'll see, is to make it a little darker around the edge, putting a few more layers around here, and then a bit lighter towards the middle. You can just block it in if that appeals to you. There we go. Yeah, so she said he could read audiobooks because he had a good voice. And he was like, well, he has got a professional microphone, which helps. But yeah, he would like to do that, I think, the audiobook thing. And he wants to be a voice actor. And not as his, well, I think he'd be quite happy doing it as a full career, but he realises that it's not necessarily realistic, especially as he knows, as young people do today, that you need to get a job with a lot of money because it's so difficult to buy a house because house prices are so high and getting a deposit is so expensive and blah blah blah. So you know, he realises that he needs a secure foundation, and his degree in accounting will lead him to a pretty well paid job, to be fair. He will have a lot of his qualifications towards being chartered by the time he finishes, and he's hoping that he can do work experience with a firm that will pay for him to be chartered. Maybe once he finishes they might have him back or something like that. So you know, he's pretty savvy, to be honest, and also very frugal, which is both of my boys are actually, which is useful if you want to buy a house. You know, you need to put your money aside. They both got their trust funds, which, you know, I used to put a very small amount of money away for them each month, and then if they had birthday money and things like that, I would pop it in their trust fund, and they had a fair bit by the time they reached 18, and they tucked it away into, I think they both put it into bonds. They're 3-year, 1-year bonds, I can't remember. They're very safe bonds, they're government bonds, but they are reasonable interest. So, and it just means they keep getting a little bit. I mean, when they had their trust fund, it was actually invested in the stock market and did very well, but they don't know much about stock market investment, and nor do I, so trying to just be a little bit savvy and just keep it in a savings account. But also, you never know when you're going to need it. And of course, with stocks and shares, you don't want to just sell them when you need them, because you don't know what the value's going to be like. You know, they might have dropped. Whereas their trust fund was managed well, in the sense that as it came close, they held some money in cash and some in stocks. Right at the beginning, most of it was stocks, and as they got towards maturity, I'm going to do these bricks in the same way. They sold some stocks and kept more in cash, and therefore when it came to their birthday and their money was released, if the stock market crashed, they didn't have that much money in there. It didn't, but you know, they didn't have that much money in there, so it was quite a safe way and good way of doing it. And it was actually quite a coincidence. I did choose an account that I thought was good, and fortunately it was. I do my research. I know about finance because I used to write about it a lot when I was a freelance writer, and so it helps me and have a little bit of an understanding about what's going on. I'm not an expert. I couldn't advise anybody. I mean, I had a family member, 633, an aunt, who had money to invest, and she asked me, but I didn't feel qualified to advise her. I told her to go to a financial advisor who would know more than me. You know, I'm happy doing my own, but someone else's, that's quite a responsibility, isn't it? So I didn't. I told her to go and see a professional. I'm not sure if she did in the end. I know she bought a few things, and I don't know whether she ended up putting much away. Now the window, I'm going to do the sill and the frame in this as well, and I'm sort of going to keep each section in the same sort of colours. Chimney, I'm not sure. I'm going to leave that for now. I'm definitely going to do the house in the pinks, in the big flower pinks. So I'm going to start with the 25, which is the lighter one. And I'm just going to colour the main part of the house in this. I need to sharpen it, it's really blunt. I haven't thought about our lamp. What colour to do that? I never know what colour to colour houses and buildings. I find them quite difficult. So it's rather nice to just think, well, we'll just match the flowers. They look quite pretty. And it took the choice away from me, which was good. I mean, I had to decide which bit for the roof, which bit for the walls, but that's nothing like as tricky as trying to decide which colour to do, you know, out of all the colours. That's why sometimes I like a limited colour palette, use a colour cube card, you know, a palette card, or But I find that some people, they'll go through their box of 250 or 500 colour cube cards and pick one that's suited to their picture. If I was going to do that, I might as well just pick my own colours, because that would take me ages. I much prefer, I'm going to do this a bit darker under here where there's this line, and then I'm going to tidy this up because it's really messy. So I go through my colour cube card box in order and just grab the next one, because when I want a colour cube card, I don't want to be making a decision. 23. This is going to be these window ledges, window bits and sills. Yeah, and I'm going to do this because it wasn't dark enough with just a extra layer of the other colour. I think that will do. Now we have our door. Now we've actually got two colours left. We've got the 61 and the pastel blue. I think I'm going to do the door in the blue and then the chimney in the... Oh, but we've got the lamppost. Right, I've just changed my mind. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. Oh dear. 302 door, go. Don't dither. Oh dear. Yeah, that's why I can't be trusted to pick colours. This is why I don't go through the box of colour cube cards. I just end up looking at them all and then not picking one, you know. I'm going to do the door furniture in a different colour entirely. I'm going to do a coal grey, I think. Just, it doesn't matter. Now, I'm going to do 61 for our chimney, I think. It ties it all together. Can't see it all. Okay. So I'm just going to fade this one a bit towards the middle. Fill that in because it's too narrow to do anything with. And then again, this one, just fade it towards the middle. There we go. Really simple. Now, what I've decided to do is do the door furniture in the same colour as the lamppost. Then that ties together. It's not going to be in a colour we've used before, but I think it'll work okay. So let me just see what I've got. I have got grey or dove grey. I think number 8 grey will be the... Oh, as long as I get hold of the right pencil. Here we go. 8. And the door furniture you can't see very well. I think I'm just gonna block it in, to be honest. I was gonna put a bit of a white shine on it, but I think it's too small. I'm just gonna block it in, and then with the lamppost we can do a few twiddly bits. So with this bit here, it's striped, so I'm going to make it lighter towards the centre. So we've got a bit of a lighter bit going on down the middle, like that. But this bottom one and this one, we're going to do every other one. What we'll do is we'll grab a slightly lighter grey for some of it. But I didn't want to do that on the door furniture because it's so small. We want to see it. Now, I think I'll just do these thin bits like this. Leave a little bit in the middle, some shine. We'll do the long pillar bit in the lighter colour and that bit. And then we'll do this bit. Again, just leave a lighter bit in the middle. Just gives the impression that it's a bit silvery. Now we're going to have to introduce a yellow into this mix for our light. We'll do that in a bit because we haven't got any yellow in our picture below. I think it'll work. But I need a lighter grey. What do we use? Let's use the dove grey. I like the dove grey. 83. It's a slightly different tone, slightly bluer, I think. But I think it'll work in our stripe. We're going to keep the same method, fading it in towards the middle, like that. Now, with our long bit, I'd like to try and do the same thing. It gets quite narrow. I'm just going to try doing a bit of a stripe down each side. then we'll see how it looks. So I'm going to overcolour those sides again, and then just fill that centre in a little bit. Now this one's too narrow. I'm just going to do it all until we get to here. Then we can do a little bit, maybe not. Just try and go around the edge. And then this bit, I'm going to ignore that stripe, even though I didn't down there. Maybe I shouldn't, but I am. I'm just going to fade it to the middle. Really quite simple, like that. Now we have our windows and light. Now to go with our pinks, purples, colder colours, I think we need more of a lemony colour. So I'm going to go for number 12, I think is our lemon. Yeah, number 12, and use this. I think it will match better. It's up to you. I'm just going to block this window in with the lemon like that. You can see it's not such a warm colour, which is what I wanted. And all of these just the same. I'm blocking them in because yellow is quite difficult to see if you don't put it down quite hard. However, here I'm not going to do that. I'm going to block it in here, layer it up a lot, and then do a lighter layer in there like that. And now we're going to do the background, and these stars and moon we're going to do after. So I'm just going to rearrange my desk slightly. Because we're going to use some soft pastels. Actually, you need to be able to see the whole page. Now if you don't want to do a background on this, you could just colour in your moon and stars and leave it at that. I would be tempted to do them in silver. I think that would match better, but it's up to you. I'm just going to have a look at my pastels. I haven't decided what I'm doing background wise yet, but I want to do something around the whole thing. I don't want to make it too dark, but it's night time, so I am thinking I could go for a purple, which indicates night. I could go for a grey, but that can be a bit grey. There's a very dark blue here that I could use and just use it lightly, which is another option. So I don't want to go green or pink, or you could do a galaxy type sky with a mix of pink and green, and not green, pink and blue and purple, but I think that might take from this. I think, yeah, I'm going to go for this very dark blue. I'm going to put a bit on my cloth. It's broken, hasn't it? So you can see it. Look, it's actually black. Oh, is it indigo? That's a bit dark, isn't it? I don't want to go purple because it can. I did that. I've done a purple on a page already recently. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with this indigo, and I'm just going to try and use it quite lightly because look, you can get the idea that it's dark from this without putting it on really heavily. You do need to be careful though, because I want it to look fairly even, and if you don't put much on, it's harder to get it looking even. And of course when we get to the edge here, we're risking putting it on top of our florals. Now we've got this bit of light up here which we need to also think about. I am going to do a bit of lighter colour there. This is messy. I'm going to have to work it round a bit. So I'm going to actually just grab a bit of my really light yellow here. You can't see it. I've only got 2 yellows. Look, you can use the more lemony one and just put a little bit around there like that. Just gently spread it around like that. When we come back in with our blue, we'll work around it. Now, when you're holding your page, doing your pastel work, try and hold on top of a bit that you're not going to be putting pastel on. So on top of a bit that you've done pencil work on, because if you get a fingerprint on the page, then it can look quite messy. That looks messy anyway. So it's important to just be a little bit careful. I'm going to have to thicken this layer up to make it neat enough. Whoop. My pastel doesn't want to sit nicely. Now, a different option for you, let me think what else you could do with this if you didn't want to do this pastel background. You could, as I said earlier, no background would be fine, I think. You could do a pen, a black pen or a blue pen or a violet purpley pen. If you've got like a Posca, there's quite a, there are all those colours in Posca. Or you could, you might have some markers that work. Whenever you're doing pen in any colouring book, try it out first. You never know what's going to happen. It might bleed through the page. I think a sparkly black pen would look really nice. You know, I've got one actually, I think. Or metallic black or glitter black, that would look nice. But another problem with pages that are this big is that if you use a pen and it can run out because there's so much going on, so much space to fill on this page. I'm going to sort of gently pop that around there, around our lamppost. Yes, there's so much to fill that your pen could very easily run out. So what I might tend to do is sort of put a circle around it to limit your area, or make sure you've got either a really new pen or a replacement pen in case you need it. I'm just going to roll my sleeves up so that I don't get pastel all over my cardigan. So yeah, it's just worth bearing that in mind, because there's nothing more irritating. You've probably all done it, where you use your pen on a page and then it runs out, and you've either got to pop down the shop and buy a new one or come up with another idea. I was colouring a page once in Magical Jungle with a glitter pen in the background, and it ran out, and it ran out just after halfway, which was quite useful because I let it dry and then I just did half the page in a this is so messy, it's just not wanting to go down neatly. Look at that, looks like some sort of stormy sky. I'm just going to move on and see if I can get the rest looking neater, and then maybe I shouldn't be doing circles, maybe that's the problem. So anyway, I waited for it to dry and used a different glitter pen to finish off the rest, and that worked quite well. So I had half the page in one colour and half the page in another. Now it was a sort of repeating wallpaper design, and my pencil colouring on the actual wallpaper was the same throughout, so it had like, was it the pineapple page? I don't know. So anyway, whatever repeated, I coloured the same. So the colour pencil was the same, and then the background was different, and it was quite effective, which was lucky because, you know, it was something I had to sort of improvise to make it work. So that was good. So yeah, sometimes that's a bit of a problem with with using a pen. And I think some markers are refillable, or you can get replacement. What would the name be? What am I trying to say? replacement inserts, yeah, whatever it's called, but it depends on the pens. So and also some pens run out quicker than others. It depends on the brand. Like my Castles, some of my Castle gel pens came actually empty. They didn't work at all. I'm sure they would have, their customer service is really good, and I'm sure they would have replaced them had I said something to them about it, but because they were so cheap and I had them on a voucher, I didn't worry about it. You know, I just didn't think the hassle was worth it. But it was a bit annoying because it was a green, and green is the colour I use the most. Now that is so messy. I'm going to use a clean bit of mine and try and scrub it round to even it out a bit. That's not working at all. That's very interesting that just isn't laying down very neatly. I'm going to try and even it out myself here by just adding more in the places that are a bit lacking, and hope that I can tidy it up. It doesn't need to be perfectly even and neat. Remember I was saying about backgrounds and how I used to want to try and get a really even, neat background, and I couldn't achieve it. But I don't want it to look sort of scribbly and messy either. So that's what I'm trying to get rid of, just so it doesn't look too uneven, really. So it's just a matter of applying more colour in the areas that are a bit pale, like here. And I will be doing those stars and moon with some pens. That's why I'm not worrying about colouring them over. I haven't quite decided exactly which pens I'm going to use, but I will decide soon enough. It is 10:15. It isn't there when you're watching this. I'm sure it's not, but it is here. I'm just thinking, because I was thinking I'm a bit hungry, but because the clock's changed today, I can't eat anything and for quite a while yet. Said I did have a piece of chocolate, try and keep me going, and a coffee. Let's try and get in down here. What I'm going to do when I'm happy that I've got a reasonable amount of this down is I'm going to go over it with a different colour, because I think that's quite dark, and I'm going to use a slightly lighter, brighter blue. I'm looking at this one here, which isn't too light, like that, look, to just try and brighten it a bit, blend it and make it look a bit better. I just feel like I chose a colour that isn't very willing to sit nicely on the page, and I think this one just work a bit better. And layering up pastel can be really good. And this is making it look more blue rather than black, but I don't mind. It's still really dark compared to like a blue sky, so I think we can still have the illusion that it's night time. And it sort of gives us, because we've got another layer on top now, I think it doesn't look as messy. Now every time I'm sort of just going over the plants and things. Now if you colour them intensely enough, they sort of resist the pastel a little bit, so it doesn't mix in, but you have to be a little bit careful. And but you can erase it. So if you go over something and it looks a bit nasty, you can just erase it after. And it does stain to some extent like a pencil would. There we go. But you can sort of get rid of most of it. That's a bit close to that light there. I'm going to try and erase that off after I show you. I hope you can see how this next layer is improving the look a lot, this side compared to this side, although this side was worse anyway, so I'm going to take a bit more rescuing. I think it's because it's a bit more awkward for me to do. Now you could, it's too late if you're copying me, leave a little lighter area around the island to make it stand out a bit from the background. Sometimes I do that, but it also means you don't have to take your dark pastel so near the edge all the time, which stops you going over the edge. So we're nearly done with this layer. And that's definitely improved it, in my opinion. I'm going to put a little bit more up here. And then get my eraser, just to erase that bit by the light there. Take that down. Ooh, sorry. Now, I want to make the corners a bit darker. So I'm going to go back to that dark blue that I was using before and just put a bit here. I don't know if that shows up that much. I'm going to do it on every corner. Ooh, it's quite difficult to get any pastel off that little bit. It's broken. You could use a bit of black if you want in the corners. I don't think I want to go too dark. Much darker than that. It's quite a dark blue anyway. Right, next I'm just going to put my pastels away so I don't spill them on the floor, because you know me. And then we are going to apply some pen. Right, pastels are away. Then take this piece of paper away and fold it in half so the pastel bit is on the inside, and then I can use that to lean on. Okay, but I'm just going to brush off my page first to get rid of the loose pastel, because if we've got loose pastel on the bits that we want to put pen on, it's going to clog our pen up. There we go. And these stars and moon. Now I think I'm just going to do them in white to start with and see how they look. I might decide to make them coloured gel pen or glitter, but I want to try them in white because I think they'll stand out quite well in just white. So this is my Sakura Jelly Roll 8 I used in the last video for the flowers. Now you might want to do your moon and stars different colours. As I said, I'm just going to try it. I might decide I want to put some gold, some silver metallic or glitter or something on, or I don't know, we'll see. Ooh, can't say for sure. My desk is creaking again, and I lean my full weight on it, which is what I'm doing. Creaks away. Now the light's coming out of the lamp, these lines, you could go over those with white or yellow or leave them. I think I'm going to leave them. If I go over them in white, they're going to disappear, and I feel that they show it better if they're left in black, because then they stand out. Now I think I am going to get a silver metallic pen. These are the Jelly Roll metallics. You don't have to use the jelly rolls, anything, and go around the edge of these where the black line is that I haven't coloured over in silver. You can do your whole star in silver if you rather, but I think I'm just going to go around the edge. I'm going to lean on top of what I've done already and hope it's dry. I won't smudge it anyway because I'm not going to slide my paper around too much. It's a bit finicky. I've got pastel on my fingernails, as you do. Around the moon, I've actually coloured over a bit of the black there, but it doesn't matter. I just make it up. Sometimes things stand out better if you leave the black line, but I'm hoping that this will be fine with no black line. We'll find out when I sort of look from a distance. Yeah, I just spodged a bit. Never mind. It's just part of the star. You could do some gold on these lines. I'm tempted, but because it's a pale colour, I think it just might not work. So I'm gonna not. Right, are we done? Yeah, there we are. So there is our finished page. Yeah, it's the background is quite dark and I was worried that the picture might get lost, but I don't think it has, so that's a relief. So there we go, there is our little what did I call it, house with street lamp or something, I don't know, I'll think of a better name, I hope. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and happy colouring.